Okay, good evening. First, we're going to the refuge prayer, page number 3. Refugee prayer. First Tibet and then English. Dāgē jīnzō jīmbē sōnām jē rōlā bēnzā zāng jē rōmbō yō. English. In the Buddha, the Dharma, Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge under enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Ma Nam Guan Da Nyam Be Sim Ji Dam Ji Dewa Dan Deva Je Dan Dem Pa Jo Je Dong A Dan Dong A Je Je Dan Zha Wa Jo Je Dong A Me Be Dewa Dan Man Zha Wa Jo Je Yiran jada nidan zhawe danyo la neba ju. May all mothers and sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they be raised economically, free from attachment, aversion. Short mandala. Sanje yang la ma de burwa ye do ge nam da yang de jo bo yo. The sparkling with scented water, strewn with flowers, endowed with Mount Meru, four continents, sun and moon. This mandala is visualized as a Buddha field. By this offering, may all sentient beings enjoy the pure realms. Om Guru Devanda Gana Menda Mendal Trade Zozo Zonzo Wado Jiji Jabado Jesu Yera Goya Zowaye Gewa Jungze Dage Jezaba Amge Zombe Janjo Jembo. By homage offering confession, rejoice, requesting, beseeching the small merit which I have gathered, I share the Buddhahood all. Simje namje sambada lo zeda jena wa jejo de mo de ba ye jejo go lo go de zo. Please train the will of the Dharma, of of the two vehicles, their accompany. According to the disposition, likewise, the mental capacity of the married sentient beings. Dorjin Jawan de Lonaro da Marmada zo Baden Jiden Gong Garden Zumden Zavala Majim Saji Lamana Lagajan Zo Junagalan Jawan Bo Yijin de Merab da Zan Jiden the moment Zarawa Jamba Yan Lagajan Zo Umanjijan Jaborane Dozun Zanjin Ganjan Ovani Ranzin Jigang Sundan Zeb Zabalame Yalagajan Zo Translate chi yorwa.
No, can we stay?
Less. Okay. Any Samalada the Janang Kin down the Dela Kal Segurending with Lana you get Samala Su in Saris Jacob Su down to Su in Saris, then the Samala Ambo and some to take it like Shirona.
So first of all, many of you are joining from different countries, different time zone, and I would begin by greeting all of you in various parts of the world. For those who are joining online as well as those who are actually physically present here. Can you hear us properly? Yes? Good? Okay.
No, the translation is very low.
The translation is low? Okay, hang on. Let me try to... All right, okay, maybe it is better. Is it better now?
Slightly better.
Wow, I don't know what's going on. Okay. Okay, how about now? Is this okay now?
Still same level.
Like
It's good. We good.
It's good. This is like actually
Sound is very good.
Sounds very good.
Sounds good. Your sounds good is fine.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe
I cannot hear clearly.
Maybe you might have to increase your volume. Can you check that with your computer?
Can you monitor the turn? Yeah. Okay. Okay, that thing's just on.
No. That is should say.
Ale. Mari ngatsun di ke hall na de yabose ko mundu.
Ale.
De kunzo kat dinan de TV na rindo.
So I think for those who are actually physically present at the center don't seem to hear it properly. So there's a kind of sound problem there. So it's not
yes,
the only.
Khenpo's volume is very good, but English translation is very low.
So this is like this is maximum volume on my computer, and I can actually hear the echo. So something is not right with the sound.
They can
setup.
fix.
And I'm actually speaking as loud as possible.
Okay, the one in the temple, please turn off your.
Okay, here, anybody? Are you guys old practitioner or new one? Can you tell me?
People in Zoom, they're very
Old?
good.
Old one? New? Oh, everybody old? New.
Oh my goodness.
First time? First time? Are you first time? Why are you interested? Are you?
I'm interested in the spirit.
Spirit, oh, okay. I see. I want to know you guys what do you want. Right?
I want to ask, that can clip on your shirt.
Oh,
I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. Don't have
Okay. Oh, Tenzin ta yawo ko.
Does it
Ah,
sound better?
it's okay, right?
It's
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, okay now.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh yeah. Any bachan so kunzo sarban de do dana den de parche nyingba den de ya nangchu drumke nyingba den de kasala tambo nangbe chu drub de kasala ta nangbe chu enare karit lega karasena tambo so ko miyor ta hako gorwas so karit tundala chu drubge yu karit tundala lega chige yu so miyor ha mawo waina tini ndukhiyo maris den de kasala tambo so ke trandana karsigro Yangzab Dzogchen chimbo ke sabchui Nyima la ini tambo su la trawa che tang sirwa nga karchin de leres ni karchin de lobjong chi hius karchin de nyinge us te pekech morias tambo.
Oh, so many of you are new here, but some of you also are old students. So in the beginning, for all of us, it's very important to actually analyze our own intentions as to why we came here to listen to these exceptionally profound Dzogchen teachings in the Dzogchen tradition. Because without actually understanding one's own objective or goal and the intention, like you really sort of lost the kind of, your kind of way. So initially, it's very important to analyze our own intention.
Excuse me,
Yes.
will you be sure to turn off your
Julie, can you please
original
turn
sound?
off Khenpo sound when Tenzin speaking? Okay, Tenzin, can you go ahead?
Okay, now is it better now?
Yes.
Very good.
Oh, great. So that was the problem. Okay, thank you so much. I could hear myself, the echo. Okay,
Yeah.
so just to kind of briefly state what Karen Rinpoche just mentioned, Karen Rinpoche said, whether we are like new students or old students, it's important to initially analyze our objective or goal in coming to such a kind of teaching, and as to why we wanted to receive this very extraordinary, profound Dzogchen teachings. Yeah, so the analyzing or understanding our objective, and therefore the intention is very important.
In namje ngaso ke kachi nandi kapsala tambo chu shobo kapsala dine pe ta karsigro kulong namda khigoya pe khijmuris kulong nambara takba thogane chu shoguris namji hiuris te sama chibaris te sama de sungris yena kulong nambar takba si kapsala pechi takalekha pores karspi kulong nambar takba si kapsala nge tanda kong ni shiba de dan drwa yuris chinan ke maung pa ka karsego ngaso 탐진 진보 공방 탑스나 문도 마음빨 산지 공방 탑스나 문도 나랑 그 무요 대당 드바 요리스테 단다 값 단다 그 군홍들라 대는 군홍 짬마세야 돼 군홍 양다바세야 돼서 참마 이 대당 드바 요순데 값을라 담보 소소게 군홍대 나 델라 요나 짐신 용과 짐신 되더니 코버 그 동한 델라 타버 그 탑시 강야 매바 강야 문도스 델라 때네 ene nga tanda ke lutin dala tene ta tharba da thamji jibu 공방 투군도 시에 그 무요테 semgoris ta te muyor tende je chana sem thaba ina ene ta ngone kunhong chama sena tere muyor tga yore te mong pala chana chu nyamne sevidi kausala ngone khoala thane sanji 공방 thobya tere is tende kasal kunhong chama se ya tende je gor da te ma do kunhong chama si kausala tanda ke chana ngaran so namdo chama namdo chobarwa namdo ta lamsa chena chon de ne lamsa chama je zo to ya kale khabo yorwa ena ta chama zo tang je kunhong khitang je yora o ta da tne chi guris.
So usually if you go to any kind of teaching, Buddhist teachings, they would say that the in the beginning it's very important to generate the right kind of intention. We call it perfectly pure intention, right? So what is perfectly pure intention? So this is very linked to my earlier discussion on the goal. So the intention is linked to, what is your objective? What is your goal in kind of listening to this sort of teachings, right? And so it's very difficult, in fact, to have perfectly pure intentions, because the fundamental goal or objective of engaging in teachings, Buddhist teachings, practice of Buddhist teachings, is to ultimately attain the state of Buddhahood, right? We have to be able to kind of apprehend that. And why we wanted to attain Buddhahood in the first place? Because we actually understand kind of the existential suffering within conditioned existence or samsara, right? And so therefore, once we have actually a kind of experiential understanding of suffering within samsara, and then you generate the intention to gain freedom from samsara, then your kind of goal becomes the achievement of or the attainment of Buddhahood through utilizing this human body and human mind, which is very precious. And so that's the kind of intention that we should have. So of course, it's very difficult to have that kind of genuine intention, but at least we should actually think that, we shouldn't like have unrealistic expectation, like, you come to this sort of teaching and all of your negative thoughts are going to go away, right? Not like that. We have so many habitual tendencies built over many lifetimes. It's not easy to get rid of all our negative thoughts right away, but you have that kind of long-term goal of achieving the state of omniscience or Buddhahood through this like fundamental understanding of like conditioned suffering within conditioned existence.
Tende ngaso ke charanzo sama jibares lama su ke kachu naona damo kunhong Yangzab je kun togan ninguri songyure te charanzo piji te mamoko jire te jibare ena te nge ke samsore is ne samsor dani je samno taung di kapsala ene kunhong Yangzab se ya de ngune tanda susu ke mior ta ha mawa che ene de lemne che ta kunhong chama je zo go khye sa re sam zoyo mare su che kunhong chama je la ne mata wala mior ha mawa wala ta ta sin de khyu khyu se de ya na ta phyon de yuri susu che ne ka phyon yuri de na ta to gute ne narang su ke drubza te thobza te ru mare se mior me ba re ene sim de chama zo te ya pe kale khabora ko pe yunung bon so sa drba jang gur ka sa te de tanda 휴고에 진짜 쪼때 지난 거 무여 다 하고 왔지 주좀.
So that's why when you go to any kind of teachings, all the lamas, all the teachers would say the same thing, like, have a perfectly pure intention in the beginning, right? But this is my kind of take on that. It's like really, if you really think about it, it is very difficult to actually sustain a perfectly pure intention, right? Without having some sort of prior kind of training in the kind of foundational teachings, right? Including, as I mentioned earlier, depending on what your goal is, that kind of changes your intention, right? Or approaching the teachings. So if you don't have that kind of long-term goal and intention, then just coming to one teaching, you are not going to actually eliminate all your negative thoughts and mental sufferings and so forth. So therefore, it's very because that actually involves not just understanding, but years of purification and accumulation of merits and training, right? So therefore, it's important to have that long-term goal.
예상에 단다 백 내가 지금 못 다서 나랑서 추냠니 징힐래 배는 단다 나랑서 또 공군다나 취시시오라스 당에 그런 자마 제세 시야와나 로야와나 드르오리스 때 지난속 그 가시고르데 그런 간데제 자마 세고이메데 하고 고효리 마도병에 시야도 남징에 따와 시에데브리스테로 데네 간다 지난도 왔다나 지난단다 추니야 그 그런 Sama basing ki trawaja tangwana chenang link and jexaris cheransuk.
So that's why I wanted to emphasize intention right in the beginning. Well, every teacher is going to say that, have perfectly pure intention, right? And I'm not exception. I could just say that and go on, right? Just, in the beginning, have a perfectly pure intention, and we can just continue with the teachings. But I really wanted to reflect on this. If I were to ask you this question right now, here, and and ask you, what is your intention? What do you think is your answer going to be?
Can you tell me?
Anybody?
Are you really pure motivation? Right. You want to know yourself. What's your goal? And there is the tambo the mirror yabo hakoana. Nga sanji ko mathogundu tijin nga chushu samte hakoana tini chirang gadari kunong tsama se tini connection chadoris indra chadoris.
So as soon as you are able to say in terms of your goal and intention, yeah, I come here because I wanted to achieve the state of enlightenment, state of omniscience, then that is directly linked to your intention. Then the goal is to achieve state of enlightenment, then your intention is defined by that goal.
Tatara kunhong tsama tane ji chiguri sidi kapsala any ta susu ka nang tan so trawa tang rawa nga kunhong tsama rindues trawa tang de kapsala tini nga se ada kawando chirang ka hakuris kawandos ta ngarang solo ngarang su tana dala yueba del khayore sha tan roba thama do yomarwas ta dipala nga se ada kanendos chesamo tangoris.
So then you also have to think about, when you say, okay, do I have the perfectly pure intention that is necessary to approach teachings? You are automatically also kind of inclined to actually caution, who is this I? Who is this self, right? We take it for granted, but really, if you think about it, then, your material body, including the flesh, bones, and all the organs, these are not the self. So then, you also have to kind of sort of think, what is this self? What is this I who have to, and it kind of sustain this perfectly pure intention?
The Buddhism teaching Nyamnichi the Pekalakaburis, Hakumarchun. Roa, Tambo de Mur de Kulhon de Hakuache, Nibate, Tara Kulhon Sama Chiguri Lamhin de Kawandu, Sroa, Tangasoga in the Pumongasiroa. Ta Pumongabo the Nala Chiran Chiranka search Chiguris, Chiran Chiran Taki Chiguris, Chiran Kawan Dota. Any Yinetachu Grimado Beke, me cheke Chiranka Teba Chiguris, the Chulo Saman Zamalan Chulo Sama Chibaris, Teba Chiguris, the Chibaris. In check Tobia Eris, Yadan, somewhat Lavia Chibaris. That number Sanjable Chichikaris in Chiran Rang Taki, Chiran Rang Kalejab, Chiran Rang Nyamniche, in Chiran Rang Sanjikumoto Da Siata Teris.
So therefore, if you are not able to answer these questions, like what is the goal, which in turn defines your intention, what is my intention, and then like answer who is this self, who is this I, who has to sustain this intention of achieving the state of enlightenment, and who has to sustain this perfectly pure intention, who is this self, right? If you're not actually able to answer these two questions correctly, then it's really difficult, actually quite impossible, to traverse the Buddhist path, right? And in fact, for most of us, it's very difficult to answer these two questions. Truthfully, honestly, right? Very difficult. So these two kind of what you like, if you like, in understanding, right? What is the goal? What is the intention? And what is the self? Because we have the 5 psychophysical aggregates, right? We say when you are trying to understand or explore what personal self is or person is, then we have the 5 psychophysical aggregates, the body-mind complex, right? Then, among these psychophysical aggregates, where do you find the self, right? That kind of search, that kind of quest is fundamental to Buddhist practice, and without actually answering this question or realizing this, it's very difficult to travel on the Buddhist path, because the other things are all common to all major traditions, devotion, faith. If you are devoted, if you have faith, then you're going to, achieve some sort of state. It's very, very common to all religious traditions, right? But in Buddhism, the fundamental responsibility lies on yourself, and that is, we say you have to analyze, you have to understand, you have to take responsibility, and through understanding, through analysis, then you have to put them into practice, and then you achieve the state of enlightenment, right? So if in order to do that, it actually demands a lot of personal responsibility and understanding.
Oh, yeah. So everybody know who you are? Did you analyze before? Yes? Where's your mind? What? Nowhere to be found. Okay. Then why you talk with me? The other side of the coin. See? Any teaching is raw. The naked susu taki in the capsula, any yene tang also good chinang jet the sonda. Jimata Malantava. The Mitsamang Gon Cordoris, Roa, Lamlong Gomons Jordorilla, Lamlo Gomon Jordori, Lara Simjin Tamjet, Lamlong Gomons Jonatine, Longa Tangel Libana Yachadori, Sunata Chagoris. Yine, any Tangarang Gon Koryeva, go and dinala. karsa mata pala takba machang wala chawan zene gong khori ba yene de so la nyangji mela simji yemba la nyangji ene yene samba sia de hinji sia de yene dinen go zo ghyores de ma do ngago so khane samba la ya de hinji sia de janju sin la ya de labda de on do as ena yan de so juila machi na de khane labde wa chamji kada ngaso de tumde tumar was then because tambo yongsan ro chawan ro da ko gore so
therefore, like, to really answer these questions, then we have to understand the notion of illusion and dreamlike, the nature of phenomena as illusion-like, dreamlike, right? That without understanding that, then we are traversing on a wrong path, and we have thoroughly deluded ourselves, right, for countless lifetimes, right? And so through these kind of fundamental conditioned delusions, right, had become like a very strong habit, right? What we do is we see things that are impermanent and momentary as permanent, right? Things that are um, kind of that are kind of um, things that are not pleasant as unpleasant as pleasant, and so forth, right? And so through understanding ourselves, the delusion, the kind of illusion that we live in, and we're able to actually experience the illusion, then we generate, first of all, compassion for our own self. We generate like genuine compassion for our own self, for actually understanding, experiencing, not just kind of philosophically, but experientially, of how we suffer because of our own self-deception, right? And so based on that kind of self-compassion, if you like, then you generate genuine compassion for others, because others are also caught up in the illusion, right? Not realizing the illusion as illusion. And so therefore, with this kind of understanding, then you have a breakthrough. Like then you have um, compassion, you are kind of experiencing compassion not just as kind of a conceptual statement, right? We say, oh, practice compassion, practice bodhicitta. Yeah, but without actually fundamentally understanding the illusory nature of things, the dreamless nature of things, you're not actually able to genuinely experience compassion for oneself, and therefore compassion for others.
ote tambo ngachu tgon den zum ras ngachu tan gonda den zum ya te ene tu chu ma je chiran so chu nyam ne de dang de nga ro de ko chi ro de nga ro ha ko je ma na de nga rang zo chama la ni ga ni pin su ji la ro ni pin su ji cha do ris de ma do ngachu nyam zum jin de na chun ro hi ha je chiran zo den da da hi da ha ma wo je ni na hi un do chen de ngachu den dan ru ma was ena terang chiran de le ya te su chin thola ma ta nge ja cha ja thamba nge ha ko chi go samye je ge kar se guru ne ge semna de ba je yu go re so
So therefore, it's very important to have this kind of genuine curiosity and genuine intention that you wanted to actually know how to practice the Dharma properly, right? Understanding it properly, and based on that proper understanding, then kind of practicing it properly, right? So that is very important, because otherwise, if we do that, then it becomes like mutually beneficial. I, as the teacher, am benefiting from this particular gift of teachings. You're also benefiting from the teachings. That is very important, because otherwise, if you don't have that kind of intention of trying to really understand how to do it properly, correctly, right? Then if you don't get any kind of benefit, then it's kind of a waste of time for yourselves and for myself as well.
Oh yeah. Taha kosongas. Nite. Kunlong zama siya tetang in miyor siya tini.
So therefore, I hope it's kind of clear when I talk about the importance of the intention, what should be intention, and what is also the goal or objective of your spiritual practice.
That tende ke miyor susuk miyor ha kawache. Ini miyor tel tendala chunyamni chiyon di kapsala. Tene ngaksok chek siro. Ka parche siro. Ta lega kare na pe lega jiding sawa na ro lega real pe kalendo was ngaksok zundi shuji kale shujag dos. Chui ngone namchin sanji kongpa thoya la tende ris kale majan yung maris. Tende kapsala ngana ka miyor ta ha ko chab jila. Ini lamga lan roti kapsala kable kase u. Chui nyamni chidi kapsala ka ta parche kandre u na tu tene kasana karsa gor to solal ta dungni chit zoiba gom dungni chit thuri is karsa mayor ta ha ko na mayor ta ha mau wa na ta so ho chu ji su la ta kin ro ji chhudan ro ji chu nyam ni je wa na te kalen tre on the kausal a dan de ching men de da pe kalen tre do de pe kalen do nga ji thu sa mari sini yogyun do was ta te barche ro was pe na mi jen dini ma new york ro go shu na ko ken 타민 타마가 그런 그 미역은 로사데 뉴욕으로와 다 되게 바콘 소 내가 모담 세나리 모담 콜로 또 도르송와이나리 고 깔레 강 바와이나리 깔레 칸디테와나 그 마일라 말레 버들라 잡히 강요 지우 지는 누로와 오 대나이게 미역다 하고 차와 요라 추냠네 드야라 릴 강한테난다 생을 강한테난다 강아 깔레 또 삼지 cross chigoris ta do thop goris tinni chenang thaman muyot ndur was
So therefore, understanding one's objective or goal is very important to really have a clear understanding of your goal of achieving the state of enlightenment, understanding what that is, and actually realizing that it is achievable, that we can achieve the state of enlightenment. Because once you have a clear understanding of the objective of the goal, then you'll be able to face all kind of challenges and obstacles, right? Challenges and obstacles arise even if you do if you have a kind of mundane project, right? You want to do something in the world not related to your spiritual practice. Of course, you face a lot of challenges, you face a lot of obstacles and so forth. We all know that, right? And so much is the case when your goal is actually achieving the state of enlightenment, right? So if you understand that is the goal, and you have a clear understanding of the goal, that it takes kind of patience, it takes that you should be able to transcend all the challenges and obstacles and so forth. Then when you face challenges, when you face obstacles, you'll be able to actually embrace them. You'll be able to actually transcend them, embrace them, and transcend them. Otherwise, you will give up. You will very easily give up. If you have some sort of challenge, obstacles while you're trying to do some practice, you give up very easily. For example, let's say you wanted to travel to New York City. That is your goal, traveling to New York City, right? So once that you understand your goal, you know where to go, and you start driving toward New York City. Because you have a clear understanding of the goal, any kind of obstacles or challenges that you might face on the way, you'll be able to overcome them, right? Let's say you ran out of gas, you know how to overcome that because you have a clear understanding of your destination, or it's snowing, it's kind of another obstacle, you know how to overcome that, or you have to replace your tire on the way or something like that, right? You even know how to kind of overcome that because you have a clear perception of your goal, the destination, which is to reach New York City. So similar to that.
That's it.
No.
If you go New York City on the way, yeah. No, I mean, just for example, if you go some city, yeah. If by the way, if your tire is broke, what do? Come back, then keep going, right? That's good. Yeah. Then this is te ngala miyo maro padalo sakhe gyangmundo as te nangi gurisi miyo ta ko chawjila nga ta tamen tamate nga miyo dins di paral kale kasete nga sakhe gyangma ko monten dura tabhi yuga tsaro chen tne je goris chinyamni chingila ta te ningtop sena te ris tro ningtop sena te ta kunhong tsama ga thogane tame ke tama ka ngaran ke te sanji kongpon thobya ka la 갈색으로 강아 같이 채나 대 강아 될라 되네 마대 위치에다 저바에는 다동 드리븐 드비아든 무슨 춘일이 있을라.
So so similar to that, right? Once you have a clear understanding of the goal, like like going to New York City, right? Then you'll be able to overcome all kind of challenges, right? So so that is very much like engaging in the spiritual practice, Dharma practice. As soon as when you have a clear objective of achieving the state of enlightenment, then you have a very clear understanding of the destination. Then you'll be able to overcome all kind of challenges and obstacles. And this is what is referred to as determination, right? We have to have determination. Determination comes when you have a clear goal, right? So that's why it's important.
Oh yeah, that indi causa la tene chunyamne kan chena jibaris tene ka thogala ene tas chaja chemonyamne chena re zogwa chemonyamne chena re sama jibare isero jiba indi causa la te ngaso darna tgon de la ngarang so trang nyamne chia chedri ya chedang ka seguro ta puji nante nane kaju pa ka nane antene ndong kajis tin nane den denra rumzong ta mambo te he magoji sabor muse tra denra churuba jibden ba sra jibden ba tene jawang rin ponso ke ta sabder gumba Yangzab si ti ko la ngarang chu ga tene nyamni chi ya ris.
So once you have a clear understanding of the goal and then how you're able to overcome all the obstacles and challenges, then it applies to any kind of spiritual tradition or spiritual practice, whether you engage in the practice of Mahamudra or whether you engage in the practice of Dzogchen or the great perfection. It's basically the same thing, like this structure is exactly the same. So having said that, today, among the various Tibetan Buddhist traditions, our teaching relates to the Kagyu tradition, and within the Kagyu tradition, it concerns the Digung Kagyu tradition, and within the Digung Kagyu tradition, it is actually the teaching of the 17th throne holder of the Digung Kagyu tradition, the profound treasure teachings of Digung Gyawa, Digung Rinje Penzo.
Tade jawang rin chi mzo ka sabdar gumba Yangzab nyamne chi ya tani chiri state indi tambo nyamne chi ya la chitang ke neso che lagdo tani maan ron roya mando kasa nga son neso che tsama zong dos Kar zog do se kapsala tende ke Jawan Ranchin Ponzo ke Saptar Gumba Yangzab tende ke Tsa Chimbori se tende ke Nyamni Chi yung di kapsala tambo di Xinkin ke tene namje na nga so ke Gewishi ni takba se je yoris nangbe chu na la tende Gewishi ni tambo lama tang ke ba sigura tambo lama tang ke ba pada lama ting ke ba tama gunju lam ke ba tende je go ris ro tende lama tel Xinkin tel lama ke koran ke zenyi de chang gu yoris ine tan nan yi ge lama zenyi chang na pen hiyo mare en loma tel zenyi ma sang na de hiyo maris en loma tel zenyi chang gu yoris tende ka sa la tene tende tambo nga so ge hun ro chu shi on de ka sa la tambo lama tang ke ba lama ta se kar ta yoris lama tel chung dues Jun dues tenis taya mardas lama tela ngarang ke tanda goya ke di chu shya je yora chu drya je yora ti ke tene thusam gomsam ngarang si go samya ke jibja ke yundin de lama telan do mando tel chang do mando ta goya ris te chab ga jila te loma rani yang ta na yi ke rani ke tene sini chang go yoris 대 상황이나 되네 오늘 따다간 루쇼르스야 다 니바 냠갑스라데 니 군홍시야 따다 뭐 삼니 되는데 그러냐 바텔라 소마 따고리스 소마 마따고 라마 마따고리스 된 딱지 제네 이네 소소 고야도 문도 딱지 지야 데르다스 고야도 딱지 제 차위 지라 따띵 개바 지고리스
So now the teachings are profound. This is the profound treasure teachings of Gyawa Rinpoche Pinzo, especially his exceptionally profound intent on the profound treasure teachings, right, as it is called. But again, after having generated a clear intention and the goal, the second important thing to do here for practitioners, right, and not just as a kind of intellectual exercise for which we don't need it, but for practitioners, then the next step is we have to analyze the qualities of the teacher, right, including understanding qualities of Gyalwang Rinpoche Phunzo here, right, and then we also have to analyze the qualities of the disciples, that is yourself, right? And to see if we have all these required qualities, which is very important for spiritual success. So when we say analyze the teacher, we don't mean, oh, does this teacher have shortcomings, right? Whether mundane or spiritual. Does this teacher have a lot of wealth or students, right? That is not how you analyze your teacher. To analyze the teacher means you know what kind of teaching you want, and you want to engage in its study, contemplation, and meditation to achieve spiritual realization. And so when you analyze the teacher, you see if this particular teacher has the qualities necessary to lead you through the spiritual path, through study, through contemplation or reflection, and through meditation. And once you analyze that and you see that the teacher has these qualities, then you have to you have analyzed your teacher, and then you choose somebody as the teacher, right? And then once you thoroughly analyze it and you chose it, then you have to be quite firm in saying, okay, this is a qualified teacher, and I'm going to consult this as my teacher. This kind of firm decision is important, right? And then secondly, you also have to analyze yourself. Do I, as a student, do I have the necessary qualities as a student to commit to this particular teaching and to the teacher?
That indicates that Namji give hini la taya down, Homa taya, Marsa, give hini can sing it down, Homan sing he decosella, Netanji Shimba, Tambo Lama, Tan Keba, Part Tin Keba, Tama Gunjul, some Kepas. Roa. Then that the Yul Poyag Yul and Kepan Kebala and Doa, Tan Kepas. Cultural hours. Tas mil chundo tayas mil chundo tayat mardas mankebra mankeba tak chidan was keba sikausa da ni tanji shu tagare ngaran goya ta yundi den do mundu se taya teri ini kalsana chidan ga takki chi se ya da soso la takki chingi de la osche gurowa de soso la mewa chen phagi mite la yundi do mundu se ta taya ta thu maris soso la make de yabut se wo mena ngaso yabun tumundo as pata di kapsel so make the yaboje wambu chumena pa ta di kapsel saman tumundo as ten rawoje gushoris so la te stang kebasi kapsel la so ga ji tayal te kebaji gushori ine taksa te la tin di seni yundin changdo mundo ta chab jila tin chab jila larda lama ta chab jila lama tin chab jila ta sige jayo mare ta ngone ngarang soke chirang soha ko hyuna namda lo una ta jawan ji benzo dang khongge lama te manangi ri ene marpa ta malakan dreva yo namje namta deri telo ta naro ka namta dawo chiri ten dawo je ting ko hyori ten ngone ke karse gura laman sinyi demba soma noda demba teba da demba ting one ta lalam yiga gata tönang onen ruhyori sonda
야르모지 던더티 당보다 게 원니와 땡케고 숨바디 그런 송데
gonjur lam keba sikapsal da ngana zuga ta namje na de ta menga tang ta lobjung chia ta laman de ni chishya je ro te la namje gonjur lam keba la ra te la te yang chi lam keba chi guri ma to ba kan yo manju ya shu ya na lame ma nang marwa ten lam keba sikapsal ta ngana zo na gigin da wona gigin di cha ni ye jan de kasal ai jan ta pen ki tham kebo do kan jang gore la da
So as I mentioned earlier, you have to be expert in three things. Expert in analyzing the teacher in the beginning, expert in consulting or relying on the teaching in the middle, and then expert in or skillful in actually requesting teachings appropriately and timely according to your own need and like the stuff like that, other factors. So it's the text says you have to be expert in analyzing, right? So as I mentioned earlier, it is not really to analyze whether the teacher has faults or teacher has some sort of shortcomings, right? Not like that, right? So if you have to be able to be an expert in analyzing the qualities of the teacher, it necessarily entails that you have to have some sort of foundation, right? You have to have some maturity for this analysis, right? Because if you don't have any kind of foundation, understanding and so forth, you will not be able to actually analyze the qualities of the teacher. So that is very important, like analyzing the qualities of the teacher necessarily entails that you have some foundation, some qualities, some level of education, some level of maturity. Otherwise, you will not be able to analyze, right? And secondly, once you're able to analyze the qualities of the teacher in the manner that I mentioned earlier, right? To see, whether that teacher has the necessary qualities, not just like in terms of intellectual insight, but also experiential insight in giving you the teachings so that you can practice them, so that you can like contemplate on them and have spiritual maturity. Then you have to, you choose the teacher and you rely on that teacher, right? And so once you're in the second phase, then it is very important, from the stories of the past student mastered like relationships, right? It's very important to be very firm in your kind of relying on this as your teacher. You understand that through the kind of relationship that, for example, Gyalwang Rinpoche Penzo had with his teacher, you also know this through the stories of Milarepa and Marba, right? And you also know this through the stories of Tilo and Naro. So that's why it's important to analyze the qualities of the teachers, to therefore choose a qualified teacher, and to also become a qualified student or disciple. And one of the kind of main is like, like you have faith and kind of in the teachings and so forth.
아니 애니 저랑 이제네 단다 줄로 참아 그 대바 라야진 도와스 인 따라 지난 그 딱히 제 차와 지라 옛날 법정 지네 딱 개우시니 그 맹아트네 지난 맹아따 심라라와 다 이제네 다 지난 대바 대 제바에나 대바드 제바에나 디 대바들 실모도 대바라리스 양나 때라 안데스 짐신시브 대바스는 르히오리 짐신시브 대바스 히오리 인 실모도 대바스는 르히오리스 다 가르스는 지난 그 자체자 담 하고는 주 대바 지요로 왔어 대마도 문제 질라히오 말이스 다 땡오네 대바레 디 대바데 산제 그 상마제 버들라 지난 대바도 구리라다.
So therefore, this kind of devotion or faith in the teacher and the teaching that is born out of careful analysis is very unique. It is not just blind devotion, right? The devotion that is grounded in analysis and reasoning is what we call as irreversible devotion or faith, right, in the teacher and the teachings. And also we could call it like a kind of a devotion that is grounded in reason, which is very different from kind of your ordinary faith or blind devotion. And this kind of devotion, you should have until you achieve the state of enlightenment.
오더네게 되니 대바드 수수 심을 제마톱 대바드 매와에나 산제 토에를 요마리스 다 산제 토에가 탑이 요마리스 오늘 다다데 디제나 잠말랑 추로 참아 대바 라우도 짐시 테레스로와 짐신 테레데 에나 대바 제당은 가서 시거로 와서 대바 제당도 하고 대바 때 지톱 나 오늘 대바 되게 남네 제체 자탐바 상제 공부 도야라 오늘 그다 가서그로 디 태송 시고야 요 말에 이송 가서 너난 가서는 대바 매번 만남라스로와 가서 대바 매번 만남라 까비추나 멋제데라래 사오 매 측바나 이거는 뭐 제제노 소리로와 대바 매번 말라 까보고 추게위추 지금 말이스 페나스 사오 매 차송조 사오에는 이 사오도 지난 가왔담나 잠만 제가 가왔담나 사오도 지금 말와 고 매측 사조로와 베테나 예르다스 대바 마타브리스 제가 아마 매전 잠만 부요 말와스 참 아마 띵도 와스 찍바 찍장리스
So therefore, this kind of devotion that is grounded in reasoning, that becomes therefore irreversible, is vital for our achieving the state of enlightenment. To rely on a qualified teacher, to have this fundamental conviction in the validity of the teachings, right? And once you have this irreversible devotion in the teacher and the teaching, that devotion takes you all the way to the state of enlightenment. So therefore, devotion, not just blind devotion understood correctly through your analysis is extremely important for the spiritual path, right? But not blind devotion, but kind of devotion that is grounded in reasoning, that you are finally actually you're able to be convinced in the qualities of the teacher, in the qualities of the teaching, right? So therefore, devotion, of course, in all the religious traditions, devotion plays a huge role, right, for spiritual progress. But especially in Buddhism, devotion has to be grounded in reasoning through your analysis, not just any kind of blind devotion. So therefore, devotion that is actually grounded in reasoning, how important it is for your spiritual practice, it takes you all the way to the state of enlightenment. And so this is what Buddha said in one of the sutras. For those devoid of devotion, the virtuous white karma is not going to be accumulated. Is not going to be accumulated in those beings devoid of devotion. He said it is like a seed that has been burned, right? A burnt seed will never give rise to sprout. So, this is what the Buddha said, the significance of devotion.
Dase,
Now,
ale, Zamalan digala mamel bu yeves keje.
so therefore, it's similar to, I forgot one thing, like how, just as like in the world, right, there are no human beings without a mother, right? Everybody is born out of mother, right? So similar to that, devotion is like that. Devotion gives rise to, state of enlightenment. Devotion is like the mother in that sense.
Mamel bu yeves.
Are there any children without mothers?
Do you know? Do you know? Without a mom? This mom is lotus flower. Okay. Yeah. That teenager stay Chenanzo Hako Guateris, take package mordas, they pass it. They ba Zamalan Chilo, some of the heel, then they pass Mina, you ain't gonna maris. Roa. That day in the Tangananzo can Yamni Chia that Javan and Jimpuzo was, Javan and Jimpuzo and the Namta the Rods and Shikoras, Tambo. Roa. Namta the Robs and Shiguya, the Tambo, Namda Momotion Chum, the Chenanzo Karsena, Namda under the Pecha Georgia Jujendoa. Pecha George Sandoa, they channel Yawata, Siroa. They Yawata, and then Tambote the Tanning it and Yumba, Taki Siroa, Honke to some gumsum candichindos. Nyamne candice gas. Tamote Tagoa. Qualify Lateroa, Tamote Yawuta Chiroa, Tini Yine Tebachigroa, the mother, oh, the Lama Sachi Mordase, Cope Menchi Mordas. Oda chena teba chigulana yuya koran mewa tran kazang tisulte yuya yomari sirwa tene koran ke lama te tene tsa chimbo embe jimsen la tene tusam gosum kande cheno te ya chena sota ene kale song to re tam nyangyap che ene teba chena te ngone teba ta tanji chekyo yangda ba ka di jimsen hi teba chekyo was.
So therefore, I wanted to stress this. Devotion is extremely important for our spiritual progress, right? And not blind devotion, but devotion that is grounded in reasoning. In reason is very, very vital for spiritual progress. So now, which then comes to the author or the teacher of this particular Dzogchen teaching, which is Gyawang Yeshe Punzo, right? So, now we have to really understand something about his life and works to be able to generate the kind of devotion that I was talking about. So we're not going to go through the entire sort of life story because, the English translation is available and you can read it on your own. But the most important thing that we really have to sort of know here through his life story is how did he actually engage in study, reflection, and meditation. How that is how he actually engaged in the practice of Dharma, right? And then through that, you will be able to actually infer his, spiritual qualities. And once you're able to actually infer his spiritual qualities, then that is the kind of uh, devotion, spontaneous devotion that we should aim for, which is like pivotal, as I mentioned earlier.
뭐야 한게 다니들이 딸 라마가 맹아 네 ini tebachi guir laya tendera ojer das yang chirang zambalan digang la chirang chubo inji chiyorwa ta chirang chala nyoya da sama nyo tupyore kawan nyoya ra hyore ena yang tanji ke zambalan digang la nyoya chun mejo lama ke nange 그 담아리 다데 담아든 잠란 춘 녀야요 말라 저는 빼야 녀나 녀야요 말 중간 가완로는 잠란 중간 가완로는 녀야 메조리 다데 데 짜치 모제 다 맹알 담마시 그러 데 저는 심라 무세가 저는 라와이나 이때 저는 그디 데바 지사르스 지사 말이스 데 소소소라 데 따지제 저와저 제리 니바데 근데 수소를 춘이 잠만 디간의 토야 메조제 수소 셈라 오늘 그때 맹아제 톱디까서라 근데 톱디까서 팀 미데게 가르치리스타데 그 치와 솔 토나 그때 땅 말와 그러와 어떤데 제 고효리스 데 tentu en sama tango ya reason around damma se later das.
So therefore, what is the significance of what we call as Dhamma or piti instructions, instructions that come out of the depth of the teacher's experience, right? Again, we have to sort of let's analyze ourselves and let's kind of do a little bit of analysis or self-reflection here. Let's say you're really rich and you can buy anything, any kind of material thing in the world, right? And let's say the pit instructions of a realized master is such that even you are the richest person in the world, you cannot actually buy it, right? And if you are able to get this pit instruction, then would you actually experience some sort of joy, like some that you obtained something that is so precious, right? That even with money, you cannot actually buy it, right? It's kind of, let's think about it. And secondly, if you obtain these pit instructions that you cannot actually buy, but it has so much significance for your liberation, will you be able to consider it so dear that you're not even going to give it up, even at the cost of your own life, right? Something like that. So these are also very foundational questions, very important questions that we have to actually ask ourselves to actually benefit from the pit instructions.
That is that in the that chancel check the nyamnyo US konyo US uga tetong se je yora tetong se ra ta try your master landa the jimpunzo te chanzo konyo US ti kol jetang buga ngaso ter chui la je yora ti kol konyo US
So now
ya wo ha ko US
So now, because like also like there are a lot of new students here as well. What do you know about treasure teachings and treasure revealers, right? It's a very kind of unique Tibetan Buddhist kind of tradition. You know, how well do you know about what are treasure teachings, what are treasure revealers, and their authenticity and so forth? This is a caution.
Do you know? Dharma, right? Dharma, right? Treasure. Do you know? Written on various things and that are found by how to find a treasure hunt. What? Multiple wives? Multiple. Okay. Yeah. Zambalan la philo Zambalan ge chulo nan la tema mainly by Yorwes to Niba things.
The second related question is, are there any religious traditions in the world, major religious traditions, that do not have treasure teachings?
Treasure. Right?
Are there
Dharma.
Dharma teachings or treasure teachings? Revealed teachings, basically.
Jewish, Muslim,
Islam have mystical, mystical sides to them that, defy rational explanation.
how to receive Abraham from Jewish? How? See, it's Dharma. Right? Experience, right? Same, it's Dharma. Treasure. But Zabalang Chilo Tama Therman Doris, Ya Ton Therman Doris, and a ten dunkin de la Nye Tanji Human Basi. Sini Tango Huris. When a Renjim Naso and a Pula Mambo Yuri, Pul Peter Shipe Mambo Yuri, Yori de Yena Yang, Chenanzo Tadas, Renjim Penzo Tambo, Objum Kandiche Gas, Parda, Drabanyamni Kandichin those, Tamade, Nansim Dilam do us in Sagi, that Chenanzo. Hakoyala, Dinala, Namtatinan, Nansim Dine, any ten doyake, ten doyas in the tatin that said Pejutan Rihori, and I am Tita Tel Gibari or Telia Gerita, Nansin did Sabacastle, there Tonsinari, Matonsinari, Carchina, that chores, the friend of Charita, Roa, in the castle teaching, con the Monica, Sini Dimbeketine, Sindi Getine. Terton Senandure, Seni Dembeke, Givishini Senandure, Roa. What the Niji Gohor is.
So see, like if you really kind of trace the origin of all the major religious traditions like Judaism, Christianity, Islam, right? It's kind of like treasure teachings. You know, in the beginning is a revealed teaching. Somebody receives it from a particular source, right? Whatever you want to call it. So I would argue that, you know, all major religious traditions, when you actually trace it, begins as a revealed tradition or treasure that is revealed, right? So the concept is very similar. But the uniqueness of the Tibetan tradition is, you know, we have so many treasure teachings. Treasure teachings are still revealed, right? It's still a continuous process. But we really have to understand the quality of the person who received the treasure teachings, who revealed the treasure teachings. So to see whether they could be fake ones too, right? So for example, if you look at the life and work works and practice of um, Gyalwang Yishe Pinto, how he actually engaged initially in a rigorous study of all the teachings, right? Then how he engaged in meditation practices. And then finally, as it is said in his biography, they, they, there came a time when his mind and appearances become inseparable. Nangsim Deva, right? Like his mind and phenomenal appearances become one or inseparable, right? And at that kind of level of spiritual realization, then everything dawns as treasure teachings. So, he becomes sort of, have that kind of autonomy to give teachings. And, whether he physically reveals a particular treasure text or not is sort of irrelevant at that point. Everything dawns as teachings, right? So you have to have that kind of um, qualified treasure revealer to be able to say that this particular revelation is actually authentic.
Nansin reason to have US.
So now, do any of you know what is meant by mind becoming inseparable with appearances? Nangsim Dewa. Do you know what that meant? What is the meaning of that? For the mind and appearances or phenomenal appearances to become inseparable or indivisible, mixed or blended.
Inseparable under the
No.
Maybe the three katas aren't really three katas, that they're not separable.
Nansim. Mind and appearance. That's good.
The phenomenon experience was not certain, but as the domain of the perception that the mind has on the phenomenon is what creates the beauty. So much is already not at the phenomenon.
Can say that, but still. Okay. The chance to call some of tang sirwa, nang sim yin mi siade. Kasana Rinjin Punzoke Tenduyate Nang Sim Dine Nang Sim yin mi sin and recure, Nang Sim disin and recure. The nature Gatoga Kunke Tapuke la Santalan and recurta, Garchina Johorita. Carson Tang Aranzogan Namjin Unek Inchicale freedom Lajado, Tating Unek freedom radita. Their freedom radicapsula, any their tona ton to curry, their tona ton chohorita. Garchina Chu, Carson also Samuel and Debate could drop to Hura. There is and Dambode.
So therefore, we have to really understand the purpose of this particular technical term, like spiritual realization, the inseparability of mind and phenomenal appearances, right? The mixing or the blending of mind with phenomenal appearances, right? What is meant by that in terms of your own practice, right? Spiritual realization. Because then once you attain this state where the mind becomes inseparable from phenomena or appearances, phenomenal appearances, then you achieve, what we call as true freedom, in the Tibetan term, we call it sangtel, like, this kind of utter unobstructedness, you know, and in that kind of freedom, then, you become qualified to reveal treasure teachings.
That in the capsule dini regime so sabder guma yanzo kande tertoni setan ngaso tet kita shego ro tater seada mambo yorangel himatana samater chiris tater te chiri de na ten dendangji yora kanji toni layaji yora tate pe yawono dinala tanda namta dinala tanda jorga satina na andang yubandwa page number 4 na di ma wotandwa chili yoede yora
No, you
the page number 4 says that me wotandwa what at the beginning of a time of profound auspicious doa interdependence. Do you have the namta the biography of Rinchen Panzo? Look page number 4.
number 4.
Page
Oh,
number
yeah.
4 doa the line jima hyama doa rasa
Oh, number 4 gi kawala durmaje.
the number 4 number page number 4 page number ma jima tan ma hyam the line je doa
Oh, at the beginning, right?
beginning of a time doa on didn't chi ma je loda.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, so all sort of teachings become sort of revealed teachings or treasure teachings, as I mentioned earlier, but we have to understand how a qualified tertun or treasure revealer reveal a particular treasure teaching. So in this context, if for those you have the English translation of his biography, the last paragraph, I'm going to read it here. At the beginning of a time of profound auspicious interdependence, he went to Yangzab. From the ox-faced rock, he extracted the catalog of a thermal treasure. At that time, from a wide rock face, he took out the key to the treasure teachings.
Oh yeah, that is key to the treasure lando. That na Oxford the kunzo ke jor the main the ngunesen landong tras the ox face rock la the ngune the landong tra lando lango dumar no isara that the kada de nga saja den ronyo me and the kunzo ke de tonjor che do ngunesen teje ne phagela white kasa rock face la je do kanta te te do takare ro te do ta dang landong da se tin ni flapper da tanda kung in chen do do key to the trade yolanda ta te ta san di pen ngi lai ba nang ba na te ri chulo chama te ra o nga che che be hla ka de ke nang wa thom ne ni nge hla te ke ne song so sin ma hi ga de nga chulo chama te ra chulo te bas tan dinal trade te ma ta khar che or sin ene kong ka tambo pema sambawa ke ene ta jima ma hie je ta jiwang homa ka ledang hona kan de me te so ma hie je ra zo hie ko mo ta kong ka ta na kan hang si ye men ri son de ka sa la de ne guru rambo che senare pema sambawa senare lama ta ran si ye me pan ri son de ka sa la ene tambo ta ten dun de ka sa la na lama ta ran si ri son se ba tipo ke ta inji ke na prob cheu marwa ta ten de kasal tambo te dunje ke dema tambo ra goris lagba te maran te kane dongors te ten de kasal kong ten te ke dema ra song song das te re step ke che moris che
Trustless. So therefore, here it says he extracted the catalog of the Dharma teachings from the ox-faced rock. It's actually the literal translation of a name of a kind of hill with a big rock, right? It's actually called Langdong Tak. That's the Tibetan term. And also he says from the white rock face, it's also a literal translation. I don't know if you can actually translate the name. It's the Tibetan name is Toto Takar, white rock, right? And so here, when, as I mentioned earlier, when you say that, your mind become inseparable from phenomenal appearances, it's also same as, his mind becoming inseparable from the mind of Padmasambhava, right? From the mind of the Guru, that here in this context, Padmasambhava, right? So once that happens, your mind becomes inseparable from the mind of Padmasambhava, then you are able to actually reveal the treasure teachings. But here, what is significant here is, first he says he was able to actually get the key to the treasure teachings, demic, right? So that is the beginning. Key is very important. What is the key? What does it mean by actually getting the key or obtaining the key to the treasure teachings? That's kind of significant here.
Tambo kamanan zuyala nasoke demag ran in kamanan zugros gochin. In a ten doyala tambo terg demang he gorisro. Demang he tau yola tatem pagursia. Papago tem pagura. Tem pubch. Any ter pub tau jila. Any yine ta the susu tem twinkinte ter pumpkin naran read. Yena yang ta nge ke tan ter chu ta mil ma she gro she de kaus nai pe na ngaso se dang do top na ma khala zone mil te gro ma do ta san de se do ma yu ta chang sa sen yu ma wa sa hi ma wa wo ten do ris ten de kaus ter te ta mo tong che ene ter si phap che phap sa ji la de ne yene khala zu ba nang ye che na pa dong cho cho nyam ni ji cho cho dang ma kan de nyam ni ji go na te nang yi 맘 팝시 구효르다스도 뱀 팝시는 되게 무이스고 다때 추다 너는 수단다 냠니 지야가 리진 분소 그단다 송여와 대치 양접 조과치 뭐난내 오늘로 와서 난내 로제다 고 람트네 로고 효르다스 대마로 따가스 대치 리스나 고 짐시 히야 메나 되네 양 나서 딱지 지고야로 차도 리스.
So therefore, what is the key to the treasure teachings? What does it mean to obtain the key? And once you obtain the key to a particular treasure teaching, the next is, you have to actually reveal it. Not reveal it, kind of unlock it. Sort of, literally Tibetan means kind of download it, right? So it's in secret code and you have to download it, right? And so then once you download it, then you kind of decide, what is proper to be revealed to disciples, like you have all the ingredients for a meal, vegetables and stuff like that, right? That is the treasure, downloaded treasure. Then how you wanted to actually prepare the food and give it so that disciples in that particular time is going to benefit. All of that kind of decision has to be made by the treasure revealer.
rinjin buzo ge namda ga henan lo ta de de ge der ge dema ni kong ni song song pijin de na ma da sam de du ba ro der de dema de ni de kapsala der de dema de ge tan ge lang dong tra ni de kapsala ene kong yin la ma ting go sam song ana ma ting go sam song de ena me ge tong hyor song song re de de ta mo che ni ba de la तातनेसे या वो कब सला था तेर गोछे करो था टेम्पा करो था ना तेर गोछे से ना रे टेम्पा से ना तनेसे ता तेसे या ना समझ कब सला तिने ता मादान कांडो 추종 소마다 저 같으니 베다 공 कोर्चिन ता खासे ग्रो ता indicate a request like mare tने지는 तिने पे मसे बगदा चना ता तेची तो ने बाउंड दास्ता बाउंड स्टा ते 파군도 때 마모니 큐네 용모도 시때 때 뱀모트네 제송스 꾸마진 뭐 디짐센을 때네 에네 공갈레갈레다
So in the biography, in the autobiography, you could actually see that, Gyamang Yishe Phenzo mentions that, he initially found the key to the treasure teachings. And so with that key, he was thinking about whether unlocking the treasure teachings or not, whether downloading the treasure teachings or not. And initially he thought, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to actually unlock the teachings. I'm not going to download the treasure teachings, right? And when he was kind of thinking like that, he said, like, he had so many visions of dakinis and female Buddhists and so forth, kind of urging him, requesting him to unlock and download and reveal the teachings. And due to their kind of repeated request, then he decided to unlock the teachings.
Tambo tega kazang the dema ni guris, niba ter pub guris, somebody ter chute, pub sabajulatine, one and check Tananganzota, Yamni Chia, the Nangima, Tangone Karsegoro, ta lama Yadam Kanrosi, Yoratan, Anzo Sumzera, Lama Yadan Kanrosum, the Nig Toka and Man Yamni, Jodi Chapsan, the Sanji Kumang, and Tovia. Lam Chatsawa, Dagum Jusum Chatsawa, the Niji Guhyoris.
So therefore, in this particular sequence of revealing the treasure teachings, there are stages, right? First finding the key, and after finding the key, unlocking the treasure teachings or downloading the treasure teachings, right? Seeing the treasure teachings, right? Because he got the key. And then once you have unlocked the teachings, opened the teachings or downloaded the teachings, then, next step is actually presenting it in such a systematic way that there is a systematic practice. There is like practice pertaining to the gurus, lineage gurus, to the meditational deities, to the dakinis and so forth. And, like a sequential kind of practice where there is the teaching of the view, the meditation, the moral conduct, the kumchosum, right? Kind of systematically presented. So that is what is meant by actually teaching, giving the teachings, revealing the teachings. So there are kind of steps that is involved that we have to understand. That is important.
But Rinjin Puzoka, that Namda Dinala, that Termate, Yang Tabaimba, Jimsing Kanerosin, Hong Nasin didn't come there, Don Choyat, no Tuata, Koran Yorovas, Koran Sandoras, the Yundin Chatan Yorovas. There's a Maybe Naranzo Nasin Mandibeke. Naranzo Kanzak and Mola, Tambo, there get the money, you are there after somebody the children chapsan, then Kalas Zuan Nagi, Saya Yote, Kong chapsan, also Kundona de chapsan Chendoas. Roa, they in the Kausala de Timone Petachimordas. They mato Namba Sanji Ben and Chulun Zamalang Chulo Sama Chibaris, oh, not Chik Malam Nala Chik Flat and Drewachin, any flag here on das. Dite ma the Buddha and garden and the Mahi Garawa, the Mahi, they walk so much to Matijora, or Buddha and the song said, the Gadak, Jesus in the Gadak and the songs in Namba and the Buddha and the songs in Jinjo to Tijora. Kasakunzo, you can just Kijaro, draw you put in Darawa, connection you put in Darawa. Tanda the Conke, na flat and draw you Mare, na flat and draw your is, Roa. Ena meet someone toya jo mone take them out tonri trane. Any ter pabri in taman a chapsanje yoro. Then the music do asta. The chi sini demba, the chi yang da baji in. Ta maransu mone make it tanda can make a the taki chinang so chia kalaguru lambado undoas. The mother Sanjay song is in the Kausala. Oh, Sanji song injury Dembaris, not Teba Yora. The Jesus song and Teba Yora. Mother Purub kitaya meas.
So therefore, to actually understand a particular treasure teaching as qualified treasure teaching, you have to understand the quality of the revealer. In this case, we mentioned that, Gyamang Rinpoche Penzo, he achieved such a degree of spiritual realization that his mind and phenomenal appearances become inseparable, right? Like, and then secondly, he just didn't say that, oh, because of my spiritual realization, I'm actually able to actually see these treasure teachings, right? But he was actually able to demonstrate that in front of people with ordinary perception, ordinary eyes, right? He actually identified the rock where the treasure was buried. He was able to find the key, and other people around him were able to actually observe it, right? And he was able to actually unlock it and download the teachings. Then he's actually able, and then like presenting the teachings in a way that is like, practical and beneficial for disciples, right? So he's not just claiming that, I had a vision of the divinity or Padmasambhava, and so therefore this is what he said, and this is what I'm writing down. But he's actually able to actually demonstrate in front of ordinary people with ordinary perception. They all go to the rock. They all see he actually revealing the treasure teachings, right? And he is dictating it. Then they all see everything is done, right? So therefore, treasure teaching is something, it's not just based on belief or faith, right? There is actually a way in which I think it can be studied, because it is not just kind of based on the proclaimed spiritual qualities of the revealer. Other people are also able to witness these occasions, right? Otherwise, like we could say, as I mentioned earlier, anybody can say that, right? Like including, some Buddhist teachers. You could say, oh, I had a vision of Buddha in my dream, and this is what the Buddha said, right? They can claim like that, right? And other religious traditions, they claim like that, right? They had some sort of connection with the divine, and then that kind of divinity spoke through whoever happened to be. That's the birth of many teachings, right? Many religious traditions. But here, when we are asked to analyze the quality of the treasure, we're not just talking about the spiritual quality of the revealer himself or herself, but also, it is something that can be demonstrated, as with the case with this particular teaching.
That Dordina Nanansuka Girgi Lama Senarwa, Dordina Karena Carmena. Tiki Namtata Yabo loss, Namta Yabolo di Cousin T Mitica Kale Carjando, Sobjun Candiciendo, Yamni Candiciendo, Tele Yechone, any Susu, Jason Rangum, Domundo, Suzuka, Tatia Tirdas, Tata Pekachimoris. They may toke Nachulo Pachek, Jill and Rochen, Tela Shingojin Rache Yoroa. Take Naranso Tapa Tumarilla, Sanji Compania Tumarilla. Naranso Tanda you debug Kangata Neso Karena take Situmarwa. Casa Suzuki Hingoji, Suzuka Taki Matan Langal, Susun Debagawa, Manatamjin Debo once debut one rodero. That day in the castle, Uneke, Lama take to some Gonzon Yanlink and the Chendo. Delta and the Jin and Rowana, number Tabasi at the Masuka Webaga Namtala Roa. Then number Tabasi Castle Sanji Umpanke. Toyaka London Diak number Tabasi. Namtas again Tamjin Basiro. 탈람 리알로 타블람시로 타블람 로야리 마도 배 임람 티요 마다스 딱 오네스 남다스 테리스 비 남보테 송견
So therefore, if you wanted to follow a particular teaching taught by a particular teacher, it's very important to, analyze the quality of the teacher and the authenticity of the teaching. Therefore, like, in this case, like Javarenji Pendo, how he engaged in these spiritual practices of study, reflection, meditation, culminating in spiritual realizations. That's very, very important. In fact, when we analyze a teacher's life, we call it not like biography or autobiography. The Tibetan term is namtar. Namtar means liberation, the story of liberation, where a particular teacher is actually able to achieve the state of liberation through stages of spiritual practice. That is very important to analyze, because otherwise, if you just follow a teaching because of your sectarian affiliations, right? I like this sect, or I like this tradition, or because of your some sort of feeling, then like it's kind of there's no guarantee.
hingo galare
Like kind of because of your attachment and or biases, right? Sectarian biases. And if you follow teachings based on those, then it is not going to be beneficial.
Tateris tate nge tagong chiran so the here the current in so ke 去年的告诉了共同咱们国是呀，对共同对当，因为没有其他跟他都没有对人知道的是，对他都没有的哈国这样，其他共同咱们都能例如几个人是他共同的，真的例如的他怕都干了，他都个没有对起，因为他俺让这个这种的讲呀的这里，台湾人进步这个德马罗，德马是呀的告诉了的呢，德东的了，这个的呢，推上高中看的见到，伢们看的见到，德看的就东都是。대지 니바트로와 숨바데라 드네 다나 남타다 다운데 갑슬라 나수 나수게 라마 퍼치가 남타는 제도 요래 수수 추 냠네 지운데 갑슬라 맹아 빼 뭐요래 남디는 남타당 로지니 지나서 따당데 지와 지는 르마레스로와 남타당 로지니 카레 민가 제세 네 그거 히스토리도 하고 휴람도와 대당 남타디나라 가르스는 라마 되게 मसे चेक नाला छु न्यामने चेतांदा कांगा ट्रेन दे कापसला दिन कांगा दे दोने कंडे चे मेके न्यामन्यों के दे मेगा सामान दिनांग योरे सिरवा देन दे कापसला छिरां जोग थामा चे मालो बचे यांस लो आले खोरां देन दे कापस न्यामने चे दे कापसला खोरां कांगा दे ट्रेन दोस कांगा देन ट्रेन दे कापसला खोरां का थालम दरे चे तोका ने कांगा सेन दोस इन नारां दरे जिन दो से आजे योरवा वो तने ते पैकेज मोरिस देन यांस लो छिरवा यांस लो जे इन the namta nangi suso slabana de kadla gresina inchike dar problem da nasola problem de yoris mije gen di chu de jewa na ko tumre de thong do as ro ko tumre de thong do as da nga yang di nangi jewa na nga yang da nangi thuya in ju jacha ja thamba ke pangda yorang so pangda re ma do da che jiran de che chu nyamne che de jiran sanji goma tho rudas jibo cha de se de na mardas de pangda da sin so nga so pangboris 고마 라마 고마도 좀 가서 빵다래 있는데 나서 콩 나기 제와나 디 자차자 뭐 좀제 돼야 봐 다소소소리 지고리 손다 때리다 도도로.
So therefore, couple of key points this evening. One is basically the importance of understanding your ultimate goal of engaging in spiritual practice, through study, reflection, and meditation, and so forth. And if you have that clear understanding of your goal, then that defines your meditation, which is very, very important, right? Meditation defines your intention. Intention is extremely important. Perfectly pure intention, right? And to have perfectly pure intention, you have to really understand or be mindful of the goal of achieving the state of enlightenment, right? That's one kind of key takeaway today. The second is, uh, what is treasure teachings? Something like this, and what is an authentic treasure teaching, rather? And so for this, you have to really understand the qualities of the treasure revealer, his or her spiritual training, spiritual progression, spiritual realization, and then based on that, you can actually sort of judge for yourself whether this particular person is actually capable of, encountering treasure teachings and then revealing and presenting them, right? And secondly, thirdly, what I wanted to you to know is basically, the role of biography or autobiography in the kind of Buddhist context. It is not just history. We call it namtar or liberation history, right? It's not just kind of mundane history. A kind of namtar or liberation history is not just kind of the story, but within the life of the author, what you find is all sorts of big instructions. How a particular lama or great figure like Gyalma Rinjin, right, uh, kind of engages in uh, embracing obstacles, transcending obstacles, right? What kind of pit instructions that he has when you have a particular spiritual situation, some sort of blockage, some sort of obstacles. How do you actually encounter, how do you actually look after a qualified teacher and so forth, right? So there are so many pit instructions. So you have to actually read Namtar repeatedly, not just for history, which is kind of important, but for all sorts of bit instructions, because their life is our life, right? The life of the human beings, they with some same sort of limitations, what they encounter, we encounter. So therefore, their kind of life story or liberation story is a role model for us. So with that kind of understanding, we have to read Namdar again and again. Look for these instructions, right? And uh, secondly, Namdar also is kind of evidence or proof that spiritual practices work, right? It worked for them, right? And therefore it should work for us. This is a kind of fundamental evidence and proof that teachings are effective. The efficacy of the teachings is actually revealed through study of the liberation history of our great teachers. So that is the kind of the role of Namdar in the Buddhist context.
Yusul tenji nge zarzul hie means chiranzul nge pe kalagor ngana ge ngone sasa namda chene key point la da de hie insro chiranzul te tanda te ha koe ke rewa use tongmo che ma song rewa use ta.
So for them really go in all degree of the life, but I really want you to understand these key points. And I try to present it with the best of my intentions, and I hope it's it is going to be of some benefit to you.
Do you understand? What is three key point?
Know your intention.
What?
Know your intention.
Your attention, right? Your goal. Attention, okay.
Analyze.
You don't have a target, then you shoot arrow where this arrow is going, right? Yeah, that's important if you want to practice Dharma. Then second,
Understanding what
yeah,
what
yeah, quality master, right? How do he practice, study, contemplate, meditation? These three things, right? You want to know, this is very important. Then you follow this tetun, this treasure. Otherwise, oh, my Rinpoche, Guru, this is my religion. No target, right? Third one. What is it? Third one.
The spiritual biographies and not this biography.
Yeah.
Stories.
Pit instruction, right? Also, proof. You don't doubt, right? It's proof, right? Rinjin Punzo is proof. Some people say, oh, if I practice this, how can I practice? Can I achieve something? You know, just look here, it's proof. Then some people say, oh, I practiced many years. I don't know, still, baby, I don't want, next time, I don't want to practice. Okay. Because you don't follow exactly instructions. Therefore, we don't have a result, right? You just do follow exactly, you know. If we buy something, stuff from Home Depot, you can fix. You don't follow instructions, you just, they're blocked. You can't, right? Then phone call, customer, oh, I can't fix. What happened? Because you don't follow instructions. Same. Here, the Tibetan Buddhism, do you know when started in the America, United States? Do you know?
No, but
Do you know when it start here? How many years now? So now over 40, 50 years. See? Yeah. It's unbelievable, right? Did you hear anybody rainbow body? Why?
anybody what? Anybody?
Rainbow bladder.
Oh, rainbow.
Maybe they didn't follow the directions.
That's good. You got it. Okay. It doesn't matter, just follow instruction, okay? Exactly. Until find the result. Don't give up. If you want to liberate in this lifetime. It makes sense? Make sense? Yeah, you really, you want to know, make sense and understand. Otherwise, waste time, you know, waste life. People say a precious life, human life. If a precious human life, why are you going to waste your life? You don't know really, you don't understand the precious life. If you understand it, I don't think you waste, right? If we go into somewhere, other country, get a visa, there's specific time, right? Right? If you expire your visa, what are you doing? Before that, you leave. Before that, prepare, right? Same. Before expire our life, do something meaningful. Do you understand? Yeah. So therefore, here tonight, I just tell you, hope you understand this 3 points. Then you really find the Dharma teaching. Also, you know, Rinpoche Tso's teaching. Okay. So here, David told me, you say, give loan, right? Mundo loan. Tanga mundo ke loan tong la da nang mundo diba de ter yong krang, ter ma yong krang ri ja, te nge te chiran so man doing loan se ya te kare sin ka so la nga so juba chune ma cheba, lama ta fuma ke pala juba ma cheba, tende che la mun thwe ne jun ne de jo te la nga so ka ug lo su te la loan la ri is. Ta te juba chama yin la hyo ri is on it.
So then David requested me to do a transmission of the sadhana practice related to this treasure teaching.
Mundo.
So
Mundo.
it's actually the Ngondo practice, preparatory practice for this particular set of treasure teachings. So I'm going to give the transmission of the Ngondo sadhana that is actually present in the treasure teaching itself. So the idea of lung or transmission is that what it really means is that this particular oral transmission of the text has been transmitted without any kind of obstruction or break from the time of the treasure revealer, the Gyawang Rinchen in this case.
Ta nga so ke juba tsama re juba ma che re se ta je de ne mardas kar se tin san lobda nang la pe na ge gin che ke lobtre chen ko o da nga chi ro khum mo chu ra nge chap chen to ne lab yo ro chi se ya te ma che wa che le yo ro de ne mardas lama ta foma ke para la chu ne cha chang tambo kar se cham ro sem ji ne jong hua pa dal chap chang tiena the chapsang the net nang ya wa che la so ge zang ma dang chapsang cha chang wa la ri ma do ai para da ma ni som ge de ne ge jiwo jam ne de lob de ya ten la de jiba zang ma la hyo ma da jiba ma che ba se ya.
So the idea of unbroken lineage and pure lineage, right? What it really means is that it doesn't mean like you have a class teacher and then your kind of teacher of a particular subject, for example, English teacher or something like that, and then the teacher is absent, and then you have a substitute teacher, and then still like there's a kind of unbroken, kind of sort of teaching, right? It doesn't mean that. Unbroken and pure lineage means that the entirety of the teachings from the practice of the refuge all the way to the Didi Yoga practices and the instructions, that entirety of the teachings, the transmission of the text has been transmitted fully from one teacher to the disciple, from that teacher to his disciples, and so forth, in an unbroken manner.
The ne long se ya de jana ge long se ma da nge ge long xue je de long de dra je ko wa long chin ni la ro dra je ko wa dan da lama ge ma song de ge dra sin na nga se yo ra ti ge chek de dra je ko wa dra ji dong zam su so na wa nang ko de ya da dang da se ko de ya de la long la ri dra je ko wa long chin ni ta de long na dang dra ma da yo de da da ha ko na ya ya bo re de da ngang zo da Tunda da hago malwa stand draje ko wa long chen si ka so la ta da cham ko wa la te la chiran so simte in chiran so tanda gom jab de sirwa nge ge ke da da ti ka se na di chedang ga gom ja dan ram ra yora pena da la tin gom ja ai mo ban ram ra te na gom ja je yora te ne chiran so nge ge ke te la te ne chiran mo ba te la simte je la te ne nyu de da ta tin long thum ro hyoris.
So the lung or transmission, the definition of that is the transmission of linguistic concept, right? So the transmission of the linguistic concept is the definition of transmission or lung. So here, like you have some sort of like a language and that induces some sort of concept. So that is the transmission. So for you to receive this, like there are so many ways of giving the transmissions, but here you can just close your eyes and listen to the sound, the language, and you're receiving the transmission.
Okay? You just meditate with sound. Dam ji gongba Yangzab ji zhu zi zhi ji ngun zhu de yong Yangzab sin lab gong ji yi sa wa yu zu jum nian de bar gun de zang bu la chang za lo ti yong yu xu gun zu 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 ram jie dang zhe zha ge ngun zhu sa ram da chen gu dang bo de wa din lan do li ne sang yang long rong bai mu ming an ne da da sam Dagi damjir tenzin de zina yang ni jawa darin la me guza de goma yo de yin do za da da ma ji ne da da ren ji ne de yang ji de ji da na me na jing ba ma da yin da ki ma da zon da ko ne da ga ji jing ge ko ga ma ji ba si ba de la ma da wa jing de ba lam de jo jo tam jo len de dong de zra ni mo do zo mo ge ge ba le lam be ba ji ko zon dam za dong ba son de no ba za dong ba za re ji sin de pe da dan la mang ge ren bo ji ge jin jia dong yu zo zan de de ya da wong ge jia yi si san ji ya da jia da dang ji bo da dan yu da san se san当个所跟着那个这的，其中我生嘛，他们今天在做确诊这把大我儿子，那么的人，那个人家不是你那的那种，上面上就把是那不就那么叫做，就做一到了讲究，我就跟是。我说了讲解，赶紧做，我上去了讲解，小姐了，上去了讲解，这些音乐给他了讲解，之类我的去用了讲解，加油上了，你们当过了个心机，动啊，当着想对我就让我不然那个困难当牛。娘百姓就得咱就你们都是来大概接大概周是你个都是来生结公帮这都不是的事我是都是接你我了那面就得让百姓把它接真把它接东年昂来都是这样东西做个的人在别的人有都个那让了本就都是讲都个大当红姐红啊见早的这里讲的哦这那是不是那我这都跟这讲究Ambeza sado, ambeza sado, ambeza sado, arani doji samanga, dena posa no moza, ni yisana peda dan, la mangara moje, kujin jalo, yisu san, dena yada waka ja yisan je, hya ja to, jab de dan, ji bo de na, yung de san, se ru san go, dan waka so gan, ran go, tri de de, ji chung wa su ma. 咱今天在做这阵这报道，我说是这个应该都是门街，像是我这家做包子那个是那个面子包个工作，这个做浪不这些弄个门这上这经过老新啊的，嘛这做些个当香港子不经常结婚就弄个做浪包结婚。去个面着见面个样子，这种这边高人的怎么讲？那个人的这么一嘛结婚就个做浪包结婚，所以说那么做到到身上的你就难了，有到那么就我这做让你都结什么的你看教。我按照一个人情生这边嘛，你的当走了嘛，过这边嘛个个的事儿，也就上你这种有，都是这边那个正上那走的是不就给说的了，就不老嘛，也当当我这个从这大江走过木给。当为人家人这把做到忙个那个，这今个在讲的见不着那个上都是见老的都会说了，家人这把事情了，都会行个做的了，我不然那做一了，做了的都会说，家人这把事情了，都是给人家会行个做了，都不然那我见就算被马团长拉的，都会说，家人这把事情了。家人这不是真就老，们就人这经过是商业不在不让那老怎么的怎么了？都是家人这不就我得见样，这这不让那在那都让这老大爷都会说，家人这不是真了，你我全经过那我就说不让那怎么家不做了，大爷都会说，家人这不是真了，可能他这情况是带路都不让。这几忙个自己了，等于都是说，家人这不是真就老，这样跟家那个当然你些你妈这个等白么，就这么就这个就是那等于都是说，家人这不是真了，只要上些情况是那说上，有不知道那这觉得不了，等于都是说，家人这不是真了，真了情况是那个。让上多年不长那个叫出来，那叫了等于都是说，家人这不是那个都是因为这个因为就是不知道那个叫出来怎么等于都是说，家人这不是生计，老么就这因为是就没得就不知道那等于就不了等于都是说，家人这不是生计老，就跟他这因为是工作多就不知道。关键等真找到了，等于都是说，家人这不是了，有人这因为是上交都就不能搞起他们是要了，等于都是说，家人这不是这样的，我因为这就不能用等于去年嘛了，等于都是说，家人这不是现在搞的那些情况是有那帮个不然那就是白忙自己了，都是说，家人这不是那这边就个情况他们那个行。 智囊举起将在了大雁的外孙家人这把金轮着杨子的我就从走亲少算子在帮助没等在三九了大雁的外孙家人这把金了搞到对没行子让当中我们瞧人家对么子了大雁的外孙家人这把事情了马今年没想搞这公司跟门跟帮将个人你们自己拉的也都会说完的家人这把事情了能在家的想搞这公司多么上节讲搞这的么子讲这拉的也都会说家人这把事情了搞到都想到那个没不能公司那天都接了家的也都会说家人这把事情了事情你们去公司上的接不能那跟去去了这了的也都会说家人这把事情了直接到微信公司了这个不能那让这有的这了的也都会说家人这把事情了那是那么的应该是不管哪个人去了就在他妈搞了了的也都会说家人这不让这搞到应该是让咱干没不着那让这走了嘛了的也都会说家人这把事情这帮这不也得都这不着那的那错看严重了的也都会说家人这不是生气了都就是这应该怎么就不知道就没大爷同学说，家人这把事情质量都在想是咋，小多就不知道那怎么能讲上了。大爷同学说，家人这把事情让人结为想是咋动，都来不知道那时候把早送写着了。大爷同学说，家人这把事情都到不去，你说接大北应该是那说大不去，不知道那接都接被那了。大爷同学说，家人这把事情老马红，让人搞到想是让单个没保障，那让他走了嘛了。大爷同学说，家人这把事情都基本那么那写着了。去讲什么做难过的马上个的那种一个来让人问说让人问说那个呢另外也这个做讲网上人接到了马上到也没写到讲网也用着明明俺的呢那么是的话都当个的个呀我搞这当别的说把我阿妈过完弄进去的弄到进去说那说被你定了给这个当你忘记当那工作嘛也就3年个年的我这有那这个所有的嘛萨金曲家把伊拉吉沃人我也用你们进这个这都都更多这帮人用干这把人那帮人说你干那别的帮我用的都被嘛帮我用嘛上完来就帮我用就是那啦那我这都干这这都去说讲我这就是知道是的把嘛等着这就出家用这个样我样个的完大人间人间大人家那咱都这东西讲就是说被他用一心就见的那个nem ga mara denge yegen ze nga de won de sana la ye ga de dong nyam ang zu jum jum ban go de shi ja de men ha ra ro ro de ja de wa ro do de ne do da wa na nian ro le sum je de ngen de da de hon ma je de se la de nyu la mo de men de de na ni ro de le da be yi ra gon jo de mo ga de zo wa hong shi ma chong ma ha ra na za ra da ye za da shen ran za si de ba la hong a这个巴拉红啊，的现的一当当看着，在国里养的吧，那红什么个着，就是往起一到那边上自然到讲着的了，感觉他们一人工就是蒙着这种往什么着，那这这也这这这是的巴拉红啊，红什么着来的是不，我这个没说等在那就这。公交他被一了，公交他蒙着这种往什么着，那这也这人这是的巴拉红啊，公交你把今年到那么个来，我军报岗，对他们甚至无的。每天也大进都没得进安的呀，宿舍等怎给我这边工作个贡献，就是马天个这个老三年那马也得去老三那经过没我家是了等的，记住记下了这那边面个现在给我同学个了不，大家这马的不啦，别当当把等不了么子，我什么也家的家的就接到我这公司的。不是了，不长的爸爸哦。 Okay, that Nino Chapsan Sasso, any chance on Yamni, the Kapsa, that Magi Yamni Chiguran, the Dix Yang Arsigo. Tate and the Zone Chaitan Tini Pejatini Yam the Chin, the Rambayan Roguris, Tini Yuma Kalikala Yam Slin Samna, and Rambayan the Tajan then Roguris.
So I've completed the transmission of the entire Ngondo text. So for those of you who wanted to practice, then this transmission has to be combined with instructions. And so for those of you who really wanted to practice, is receiving the transmission itself is not sufficient. You also have to kind of you have to receive the accompanying instructions. So like in the future, if you wanted to practice, we can do that.
Thing as though that the range Nanansu Nyam than Zonabe Susachi Morwas Chinansu Tisuyo Maris Yoke Gunda but Legan Rogurat Gunda de Natsa Leras Thing Nanansu Chichi to someone give it the major Sinjin Tamjet Panhone and it that chapter as someone Yam that is Sanji Kompon to Yak cheated in Tanghua Tamana Yam Sono cheese.
So this has been a very auspicious occasion that we are able to actually gather together this evening. You have to work on a daily basis, and then you took time today to get together for this particular teaching. It's very, very, from my point, I think it's very, very auspicious. So now we're going to dedicate the virtue accrued from this endeavor for the ending of suffering of all sentient beings, and that we may all achieve the state of liberation simultaneously.
Let me see prayer book. Number 7. Prayer book number 7.
Some people might be nodding.
Dorjin change telonaro. Did you find? Dorjin change telonaro. So read English. In English. Okay. Dorjin change telonaro marba mela. Pamodraba Lord de Gomba. Please be to up as the most spacious place of all the Kaji Lamas. By this virtue may I achieve all today, conclusions. May all who travel all ages, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara. Who is the excellent and precious mind? Where is my born? It may rise. Where is born? Might not decline. Whatever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separate from you. As Manju children are well realize the ultimate state, and as did Samantha Buddha, I follow in their path and fully dedicate all the merit all sentient beings by the blessing of the Buddha within the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the individual Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit, by the virtue collected 3 times by myself, all things, samsara and nirvana. Choose may all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teaching of the Digong Uba Rinashur, who is the omniscient Lord of the Master and the dependence, continue increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation under end of samsara. Under end of samsara. Okay. Hope everybody good. good sleep. Reset tomorrow. You're welcome. But don't forget, okay, there are 3 key points. 3 key points. Right? If you forget, then I hate you. 多谢谢Tenzin.
Or Khenpo Toji Songje Pe
Thank you,
Sabacho.
translator. Thank you, everybody. Oh, I can't see my eye now. Okay, everybody, good night.
All these texts, if you send me an email.
Thank you, Khenpo. Thank you, everyone.